Yeah, we just saw it last round. Dan Jordan was playing Maverick. He, however, did not have red or blue.
Oh, straight white green.
Just straight white green. That surprises me. One of the the most attractive part about the deck to me is always Punishing Fire. That's probably because I play blue-white, though, and that card just crushes me. So I'm like, oh, man, why would anyone play that deck without that card?
I really like the Punishing Fire version. I mean, I guess your mana's a little bit worse, but you get to cast Punishing Fire, not just, they banned it in Modern.
Open so much stuff.
It's just how good it is. And, Brad, again, we've seen him already once today, I believe, playing Rug Delver. Pretty standard list. Tarmogoyfs, Nimble Mongooses, Delvers. And this looks to be a pretty hard matchup for Brad.
Really tough for Brad. Maverick is the major reason it's grown in popularity, especially the Punishing Fire version, is because it's one of the few decks that's strong against both Rug Delver and blue-white Stoneblade variants. And it's hard to find a deck that's good against both of those.
It is. It is.
So, even though you're weak against combo strategies, you are probably the only deck that beats the two best decks.
Right, and you actually have good outs against combo strategies, like Zoo never really did.
Yeah, you have like Thalia and Eversmart Hannah.
And Mother of Runes Protected. So it looks like they counting decks. We see a Savannah, and there's something, question about something. Oh, it looks like he just must have fetched for Savannah and then shuffled his deck. A little bit off the tape.
All right, and a Volk from Brad, passing back over to Max. Max draws the Grove. Pretty good.
Half the combo. And plays the Grove, so a pretty slow start for Max.
And normally, you want like 1-drop, 3-drop when you're playing Maverick.
Yeah, usually. He might be, just playing around days as much as he can, which is understandable.
At this point in the tournament, I imagine both these players know what the other one is playing.
Right. It's kind of hard to miss if there's so few people, and you're just walking around looking at what everyone's playing. You hear about matches.
They're both really good too.
Right.
So it's like two people who see each other at the Pro Tour pretty often.
Right. And then we see Max had sacked Misty on the first turn. Brad ponders. It seems like Tarmogoyf's probably the card he most wants in this matchup. Not quite yet. Needs to get large enough that he's not going to get Grove the Punishing Fired out, but
it's weird too because Max also has Swords to Plowshares.
Yeah,
which is a good Tarmogoyf answer. But he's only going to be 1-for-1ing with it, whereas Brad's able to manipulate his library a lot with cards like Ponder and Brainstorm, and that's going to let him draw more Tarmogoyfs than Max is able to draw Swords to Plowshares.
And I guess it's already above Punishing Fire range, even if he returns it, because there's now a Sorcery and a land. So it's a 2-3. It would be a 2-3. Max pays 2 Stoneforge. Always a good card, but Brad has Spell Snare.
And if you're going to Spell Snare a card, Stoneforge Mystic is...
That's pretty important for Brad.
Public enemy number 1. And now he's got a 4/5 Goyf in his hand.
Yes, he does. Wasteland takes out the Punisher, or the Grove of the Burning Willows. Out comes Goyf. Max does have a sword, so he'll wait till this turn. That way he can't get dazed. The other card that Max has 2 of main is Scavenging Ooze, which against a deck that's really trying to get Threshold and keeping its Goyfs big, Scavenging Ooze is quite good.
Brad's going to jump up to 24 from that, Swords to Plowshares.
I saw Max drew a Dryad Arbor. Will he play that, or does he have another land? 1 for a Noble. We'll go to 18. Brad, I think he has the ability to daze this if he wants to.
I probably would.
Yeah, I thought I saw one in his hand. Yep, there is.
Nope, chooses not to. At this point, like the problem with not dazing a Noble Hierarch is that it kind of makes your daze dead.
Right. He might just plan on killing it, I suppose.
It's reasonable.
And just trying to sort of use it to keep Max off of neither Reliquary, if at all possible. Another card that is, quickly gets way too big.
Good.
Quickly gets too big for Brad to simply bolt, and then he has a very hard time dealing with it. Brad sacks his own Misty. It's 23.
Post board, Brad gets submerged. Very strong here, but
Yeah. And he has 4 of them.
it's a good number. I believe Brad is actually playing Drew Levin's 75 cards.
Well, if you're going to get 75 from anyone playing Legacy, Drew is one of the good ones. Yeah, and he does bolt that, plays a Tarmogoyf.
Our Max still out of
Yeah, no threats.
days range here, though.
Yeah. I think he has a sword in his hand. That's what it looks like. Does he have a... Yep, he has Sword of Light and Shadow. Not as good against Tarmogoyf as, say, a Feast and Famine would be, but...
Brad's going to brainstorm main phase. I like this play. Gets to put back a pair of dazes, or I guess just 1 daze. It's always nice to have 1. Having 2 at this stage of the game,
Wasteland takes it the Maze of Ith, leaving the Goyf free to attack.
And I believe it's still 4/5.
I believe so, yes. And Nimble Mongoose.
Yeah,
which
that's
is
a 3/3 shred.
Yeah. So Max needs to play a big creature now. If he had a Knight, Knight would be large.
And in charge.
Yeah. But it's not looking like he does.
Also interesting, though, if he has a Knight and doesn't have another land to play, then it's not going to actually get dazed. And that would be brutal.
Yeah, I think he does have another land in his hand, though. I think he had a Wasteland. He's Wasteland and a Misty, it looks like. He's debating on which to play, and he looks like he's going to play the Misty. Or maybe not.
Brad looks very well tanned right now.
Is that because he's tan, or is that a feature of the camera?
I'm not sure. He just got back from a trip to Vegas, so maybe he was out by the pool a lot.
That helps. In his traditional stomping grounds, it is not a good time for tanning. But you know, there are tanning booths. There are the Jersey Shore style spray-on tan, so there's options.
Oof,
Green Sun for 3, getting dazed.
This is a big daze.
Yep. Just leaves.
You know, it's kind of funny that the picture on daze is actually a picture of Max Tietze getting dazed there.
Oh wow!
Did you see that? I didn't notice
nice.
that before. Didn't notice.
They knew that far ahead of time. This exact moment would occur. Looks like 7 at max, down to 7.
7.
Max throws swords, so that'll keep him alive for at least 1 more turn.
Yeah.
2 more, if assuming Brad doesn't have a way to kill the Dried Arbor. Max can also cast Sword of Light and Shadow.
And then chump with Arbor and hope to draw one
well,
drop,
he can take the damage 1 turn. You can take the damage 1 turn. Hope he doesn't get bolted. So Swords to Tarmogoyf here. Play this Sword of Light and Shadow. Go down to 2. Equip it, assuming Brad doesn't play anything else, which is, you know, a big assumption, but his hand's light. Gains 3, can return a creature, and then just has permanent, you know, can chump off the Tarmogoyf for a while that way.
Seems to make sense. Max taking another point, dropping to 5 here. The Horizon Canopy is getting a little dangerous.
It is. But by doing this, he doesn't have to tap the Horizon Canopy this turn.
Mm-hmm.
To do all that without worrying about it. So yep, swords on the Goyf. He's hoping there is not a Force of Will. There's not. Here he'll play the sword, and he is looking to go to 2. Brad has in their days. She wants to cast it. Would end up taking Max to 1. reading the sword. Sword of Light and Shadow, one of the less played swords.
Suddenly Brad can't attack.
Right. He can attack, but it's
probably not advisable.
Not advisable. He doesn't want Max to just be getting his back return. Now Max can just equip an attack, and they'll trade. But that's probably not a horrible trade for Max.
No, not at all.
And now Max is all of a sudden in not bad position. He can sack his Horizon Canopy and a turn if he wants to. But right now,
seems fine. I'm actually surprised Brad used that daze. It doesn't really seem like it makes a big difference number-wise.
No, it doesn't, but yeah.
So another land for Brad off the top. Let's see. Oh, Max draws the first spell off the top.
Noble Hierarch
and
equip.
Picks up the sort of Light and Shadow.
And really, Brad needs to draw a Tarmogoyf right here. Another land.
Ooh, the deck that only plays 18.
Yeah.
That's 4 draw steps in a row.
Yep, and he's already gone through a lot. He's just scooping it up.
Another one off the top.
Yep. Max just gains 2, gets back Stoneforge, plays Stoneforge, gets Batterskull. Puts Brad far too behind, so they're going to go to game 2.
And that was a tight game.
That was tight. We said it's a bad matchup for Brad, and he got very close. Really, if he didn't end the game with 3 lands in his hand, almost any spells. He gets it's just something as simple as a Delver the last turn. He can attack with the Mongoose, taking Max to 1, play the Delver, which gets the block. Makes it much harder for Max to come out. But now in terms of sideboarding, I think both players can probably bring in Scavenging Ooze if they want.
I like Scavenging Ooze here. I think Brad needs it in order to go big enough.
Right. He probably needs to take Daze out.
Daze pretty bad here.
Yeah.
We saw awesome Daze that game, but we also saw less than awesome Daze that game.
Right. Then Submerge, of course, all 4 of those are coming in. That card is amazing in this matchup. The big question is Sulfur Elemental or not. It kills Mother of Runes, but
it is a good Mom answer, and one of the major things is that I don't know if Max can keep Mom in, knowing about the Sulfur Elementals.
Yeah.
Because he definitely knows about them at this point of the tournament, right?
Everyone has to know. I mean, everyone has...
Every rug deck has them, right?
Yeah, and this
they have 2 to 4.
This has been a huge discussion point. Mother of Runes is one of the cards that's just horrible for Brad. It's really hard. If he can't kill the Mother of Runes turn comes into play, it's just going to be able to shut Brad down, so... he has to bring him in, but then if he doesn't if Max takes out Mothers, then really Sulfur Elemental doesn't do a whole lot. It, makes Night a bit larger, kills Aven Mind Sensor. That's about it. Stoneforge still gets to be a 2/1. Doesn't kill anything else.
Probably better.
It probably is a little better. Elspeth, I guess, makes 2/0s, but she still jumps. So yeah, there's not a whole lot that does. Anything else that not a whole lot else that Max. Oh, Max has access to Choke too, and all of Brad's lands tap for blue.
Yes.
Except for Wasteland.
And he's on 3 Valks, 4 Trops, right? Those are his mana producing lands.
Yes.
And Wastelands.
Yeah. So I think that maybe Max brings that one in too. And this gets, just gets worse for Brad after sideboard. But Rug Delver does what Rug Delver does sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, he's on the play, does Submerge, he crushes him.
Yep, turn 1 Delver, turn 2, Mongoose or something. Submerge a guy, do some pondering and brainstorming. It's not unheard of that he could just tempo Max out, even if Max gets a fairly good hand. It just requires Brad to have a better one. And we're off to the races. Brad looking at his hand. Don't see... Oh, there's a checklist card, so we have at least a Delver. See a Spell Snare. Looks like Max is going down.
Max going to 6. on the draw.
Not so bad on the draw.
I still like his odds.
I do too.
The list,
Yeah, I do too. I mean, Brad is going to have to flip this Delver very, very quickly, and he's got a lot of lands in his hand too. He's got, I think, 4 lands. So, he can't afford to draw a whole lot more. All it takes for Max is something like a turn 2 choke unanswered, and
turn 2 chokes.
Pretty good. I mean, then Brad's just on the mono Delver plan, like. Well, I guess if he did turn 2 chokes, having all those extra lands might come in very handy.
It's weird. If you draw choke, you kind of just want to have a force in your hand. If you don't, it's like if you draw lands, you hate them because they only have like their gemstone mines with 1 counter.
Yeah.
And when you don't draw them, you just don't play spells. So.
Yeah. Max has he can play a Mother Runes. I saw that in his hand. First he's gonna get a Savannah.
Let's see if Brad brought in his Sulfur Elementals.
That is an interesting choice. And maybe if he thinks that he's got to be that much to beat down, maybe that's a good card to bring in.
Is that Grudge
Definitely
Bolt Mongoose?
Well, this could be a good turn for Brad.
Yeah.
That was a very good brainstorm.
Now, the nice part about Brainstorm is that it's an instant, so you can use it to guarantee that your Delver flips.
Right.
Like, with a level of consistency that does not exist in other formats.
Yeah. You only have like
Brainstorm. You get to use your whole hand to find an instant.
You only have like a 40% chance in standard in most of those decks the first turn or something. But here,
I think it's actually less, right? Because they only play 20.
Oh, I thought they played more than
1 and 3.
So
People do it every time.
Yeah. Well, your opponent does. You never do. That's the rule of Magic. Is your opponent always gets luckier than you do. That's how it works.
Man, these opponents, where do they come from?
I don't know. Why am I never?
Yeah, why can't I be the opponent?
That's a good question. Reveals Bolt, flips Delver. I imagine we'll be seeing that Bolt hitting Mother of Runes right here. Volcanic Island and dead. So powerful that Bolt and knocked Max's deck over.
Yeah. That's a good turn 2 for Brad.
It is very good. Looks like Max has a Stoneforge also in his hand. Swords, maybe?
Max asking how many cards are in Brad's hand. 4.
Yep, and we get a Stoneforge. Resolves and the Batterskull. But Brad has a grudge.
Brad does have a grudge. And this is actually a pretty big tempo swing for Brad.
Yeah, yeah.
He can make Max sink multiple turns into the Stoneforge Mystic.
Yep, he's one here, one when he plays the Batterskull, so.
That's 4 mana.
Yep, oh, he gets a Jit, not a Batterskull.
Still a nice tempo swing for Max.
Oh, Max actually doesn't have a Batterskull. Okay, that makes sense.
Okay.
My fault on that.
Not even in the sideboard?
Yeah, I'm just so used to seeing it in every single deck.
Does have a Tower of the Magistrate, though.
He does. I love that card. Oh, and a Tarmogoyf, so.
Tarmogoyf right now, a 3/4.
Yep. Max sort of needs to play a fetch land and play a Knight of the Reliquary here.
And the nice thing is, in game 2, if you're familiar with the matchup, you usually just jam Knight as soon as you have the mana for it, because they don't have Daze in their deck anymore. When you get Daze, though, it's so frustrating.
Yeah, it is. You don't know if they level you or if, they just got to take them out.
So they just didn't know? Yeah,
they just didn't know. You never know. He needs something to stop this these beatings. 3-4. We still need a sorcery. Scavenging Ooze. That does a pretty good job. Yeah, because I mean that can. Now the Ooze is going to die to a lightning bolt. I believe Brad still has one in his hand. Or maybe that's just a grudge.
I think it's a grudge. Oh no. Oh.
He needs to flip another creature. You know, it can take out the Mother Runes, make itself a 3/3, and shrink Darmagog down to a 2/3. Unless Brad flipped a sorcery. We're counting up. He's seeing how big it is, seeing if he can block this turn.
I think it's a Sulfur Elemental in Brad's hand.
Ooh. Here they come.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of a weird attack.
It is. So what do you do with Max? Are you concerned that he's gonna?
Like, what is he gonna do? Is he gonna like mutagenic growth me? I'm so confused,
yeah, I guess.
You know?
I guess. I mean,
I'm really confused by Brad's play here. I feel like he's kind of just throwing away Tarmogoyf. But I mean, Brad might just think like I need to make big plays.
it could be. I mean,
this Tarmogoyf doesn't do anything right now.
Right.
You know,
and it's not going to get a whole lot better. Yep, he removes Mother Runes, shrinking Tarmogoyf, putting a counter on the use and getting max of life. That does a lot of mana, a lot of stuff for 1 mana. Now is he going to block? He could double block too, and just to make sure it dies. I mean, he's
doesn't block.
Doesn't block. I mean, I think the concern is that if Brad, well, I guess if Brad had a bolt, he would just bolt the ooze to begin with.
Brad just took 2 free points.
Yeah,
it's impressive. He just finds that spot where he thinks, I don't think he's going to block.
And
I'm
he
gonna
did.
Attack.
Punishing Fire, which is
Brad definitely saw that. Confident.
Max down to 7.
Yeah, Brad's doing a pretty good job this game, keeping his head above water.
Yeah. The Max does have a Punishing Fire, which will take out the Insectile Aberration, but so he's not out of the water yet, but Max, yeah 2/3, right? And her Sulfur Elemental. Yep, Punishing Fire takes out the Insectile Aberration and grows it to a 4/4. That means he's out of bolt range. The Brainstorm. Brad needs Submerging. It looks like he had 2 Submerges.
He did hit a few Submerges.
That is going to swing things a little bit.
Yes. I don't think this game is very close anymore.
Not after that draw.
This game was pretty close.
it was in fact looking, it was starting to look dicey for Brad. 1 more turn, and he has a Mongoose. Yeah, this game is not close at all.
Oh no, it's a Wasteland, not a Mongoose.
Oh, okay.
It did look like a Mongoose. Weird.
That is weird.
I'm trying to figure out if there's any sort of rocket science that he's not familiar with right now.
Is there any reason I don't just swim with both these guys?
And win with my Submerge?
I don't know. taking that, that 1 second that a lot of people don't do to just double check the math, make sure he's not missing anything.
That's a good thing to do, though.
It is every once in a while, just take that 1 second and say, okay, I'm not going to screw this up, am I? And, he's going to submerge it. Yep. Scavenge Goose goes on top. You can only put both on top.
It's also a little bit of a mind game by Brad.
Yeah.
Now, you want to know what I think might happen after this game?
What?
Brad might call a judge and say he has to go to the bathroom. Whenever Brad loses game 1 and wins game 2, he usually has to go to the bathroom.
Now the question is, if he submerges the second one, he's not quite. Yeah, he's close enough. He's maxed down to, I think, 1.
Yeah.
Or maybe he's down to 2.
It's 2 through 5. It might be at 3 actually, right?
No. Yeah, he's down to 3. But not a lot Max can do here.
I'm surprised he double submerged. I probably just would submerge the
submerge the ones. I mean, I guess you don't want your sulfur elemental to actually trade with their Stoneforge Mystic.
Yeah. Sulfur elemental does make the Mystic a 2/1.
Yeah. Looks like he. Is it a Green Sun he's looking at using? Yep, Green Sun for 1.
And
that's not going to do a whole lot.
Doesn't seem like that does very much.
Just double checking, make sure there's not a. Yep, I don't think it's another land, so.
Yeah, it's going to be chumping with that.
Yep, just chumping.
Goes to 1.
Goes to 1. Grows Tarmogoyf. And that is not a way to kill 2 creatures, so Brad Nelson ties it up 1-1. Rug Delver doing what Rug Delver does.
Brad's so good at Magic. Throws both those submerges out that brainstorm.
Yeah. Could you imagine what happens if Max just blocks?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, the game, there's no way Brad can win that game.
It's impossible.
Impossible. Just, little things like that.
And the thing is, Max is not like a scrub that you
right.
would just like.
He's not the kind of person where, I mean,
yeah.
he has to give Brad the credit and go. He probably has a bolt. He's trying to 2-for-1 me, because he attacks. I block with my ooze. He bolts my mystic. My ooze dies, and it's like I can let him trade for the ooze, but I can't lose both creatures. Brad's like, no. Just want to get 2 damaging.
And Max realizes that now.
He does. He has to.
Yeah,
he's like,
you have to.
He's like, oh, at 3, I guess the bolt in your hand is not. Didn't have the bolt.
It's always funny when you have those games where you bluff in 8 points of damage, and then Exact sees them later on, and they're like, "Oh man, you got so lucky," and you end the game with no cards in hand. You're like, you didn't think about what just happened.
Remember when he just didn't block that one turn?
You ever see him play Bump Spell later in the game?
Yeah.
Sorry.
I think Tim Ayton has a phrase he uses sometimes where someone comes up and it's like, I can't believe that my opponent blocked, and he's like, right play, wrong opponent. Where sometimes you're like, you see some 2 pros playing and one guy attacks and you're like, well, he can't block here possibly. The guy doesn't block, and you're like, yeah, that's just because explain the game state, why you can't block there, and you try it against somebody at a random PTQ, and they're like, block, and you're like, but obviously if I have anything. Oh yeah, I forgot about that. It's like, yeah, sometimes you can't.
They just don't think.
Sometimes you can't. You can't bluff somebody that's not looking for it.
I had 2 of the Reinforced 2 guy in my deck once. And showed my opponent. I was playing Shuhei in Kuala Lumpur.
Right.
And he saw both of them in game 1.
Right.
So in a feature match, and then in game 2, I attack with a 2/2. Into the 2/2 ballooner guy who makes other guys fly.
Right.
Into his 3/4 spider. And he saw that I had 2 of the Reinforced 2 thing. And that
Blocks.
spider is his entire game plan. Just snap blocks. And it was just so brutal.
Just had the read.
My game just fell apart.
Just had the read.
And it actually just sent me terrible tell. It was like, you saw 2 of it.
Sometimes they just get the read. it.
I mean, he's Shuhei, so it's
Yeah.
not like I'm like, oh man, what a noob. He
Some
didn't even
people
think
just
about it.
do not want to get bluffed. That's all they hate nothing in the world more than getting bluffed. And so, you know,
I think Shuhei just knows whether or not.
Shuhei knows. Some people just don't getting bluffed, and so you attack, and you're like, and they're just like, not getting bluffed. I'm not going to let it happen. Block. And you're like, but I had all these reinforced guys. If I play it, they're like, yeah. But I didn't want to let you get 2 free damage in. Couldn't
You
allow
never
it.
know. Like maybe he had like a bounce spell in his hand or
Yeah.
something. You never. He was
Deal
tapped
with
out
it.
though, so could have eaten a guy. Could have got more value.
Nope, just didn't want to get bluffed. So going to game 3. Still like Max?
Yeah, now he's on the
still
play
Max
too.
Yeah. Turn 2 Delver is or turn 1 on the draw Delver is so much worse than turn 1 on the play Delver. Though he
Good
does,
draw for Brad
yeah.
though.
Chain Lightning, Submerge,
Spell Snare,
Snare.
Delver.
Now the hard part here
All
is that
these.
maybe you have to choose. Am I going to play Delver? Or am I going to risk it and let him get his tier 2 play in? You can because Max, he knows Max is just going to get a Jit. So with a Stoneforge, so and probably playing what Max does here. I guess if Max plays a Mana Dork here, it's much harder to hold back with the Spell Snare.
And it looks like that's what's going to happen.
Yeah. Then Brad probably just plays the Delver, and it's kind of hard to hold back, hoping to Spell Snare a Stoneforge Mystic, and they just play Knight or something. It's like the worst of all possible scenarios. Or he just is he still playing his guy, and they're just speeding up? Nope. Just fetch turn 1, looking out for Stifle. Max has some decisions here, it looks like. Do you play the
He's got a
Stoneforge
lot
here?
of 2 drops.
He does.
Yeah, I think he's. You have so many 2 drops here that are really good. But I think you just lead with Stoneforge all the time,
so?
right?
Maybe. I mean, knowing that Brad didn't play a creature turn 1, you pretty much have to assume that he has a Spell Snare. But he leads with Stoneforge anyway, and instantly puts in the bin. 2 Delvers for Brad now. Wasteland takes out the Savannah. We have a Delver. Does Max have another white source?
Yes. Yeah, he's a Heath.
Okay, he's got a Heath. This gonna sack his Heath. Does he have a Plains to get? Does not have a Plains to get.
Nope, has to go and grab a Savannah here.
I mean, there are worse things in the world than having to get a Savannah, but
He might actually rather have the Savannah. Oh, he has a tie gun hand, so maybe not.
Yeah. And Gaddock flips Submerge, which will not be doing anything until the Chain Lightning hits. All of a sudden, this match, not looking bad for Brad at all.
No, not at all. Chain Lightning's going to take care of this Gaddock now.
Yep.
Another Delver coming down. Max even knows that he's underneath the Submerge.
Right. And Max, I mean, he needs a Punishing Fire here. He needs it bad. He just doesn't have it. He's got a sword. Looks like he's got a Noble. And a Jit. But, you equip. And a Chain Lightning. Jeez.
That is
Brad
that's a
Nelson.
big game.
Brad Nelson, ladies and gentlemen. Attacks for 6. Puts Max at 8, and he has 2 Chain Lightnings in his hand.
My prediction.
Your prediction is going pretty well. Yep. And equips, and he knows he's dead. Bajuka Bog removes the graveyard, but not nearly enough. 6 and a Chain Lightning.
And that's it.
Brad Nelson
Wins a very difficult matchup.
It does, yeah. Bodes very well for him.
Yeah, looking good.